You gotta explain who Mike James is to me because I heard that name earlier this week and
bro.
I was
Out
shocked.
of nowhere, and
Um,
he's a baller. Oh man, let's
yeah,
get into it.
like what? They just signed him out of where? Like
Out of like
the
Turkey or
Barclays
some room,
Center,
somewhere
the Barclays
random.
Center back room. Like, yeah, you play ball.
He's nice, bro. He took a fall away jumper. I was like, whoa, don't shoot that. And he made it. I was like, oh, he made it.
So this is weekly updates from the last time we did them. So I think that's 16th through 29, which is today. So we'll just cover all of that. All right. What is going on, D-Rod and Shaniac sports fans? It's your boy D-Rod and Shaniac. Part 2 of episode 15. We got your weekly updates. Just a real short episode, just taking a look at the NBA and MLB standings and, current news that's bubbling around. All the NFL stuff is the draft, which is happening right now. So if you want to know about that stuff, go tune in. Shane, let's start with the NBA. Let's just list off the top seeds from the East and the West. Playoff time is right around the corner. We got like 10 games left. Most of us, I think.
I think
Something
15, but it's close. For 10 or 15 around there.
I think it's a lot less. For the
no,
Knicks,
I think it might actually be 10. It might actually be 10. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It's like 2 weeks left in the season. So there's no way they can play 15 games in 2 weeks. It's impossible.
That play-in, I think, starts the 16th of
the 16th
May.
or something like that, yeah.
I'm excited for that. But let's look at the East.
Y'all not going to be in it. That's the best part. Y'all not going to be in it. Thank God. Because anyhow we had y'all in the first round. Anyhow we had y'all in the first round, I would have been sick. Because we're going to be exhausted for the next series.
We need to get those oxygen tanks on the court. So far in the East, you guys, that's the Nets and the Philadelphia 76ers, have clinched a playoff spot. You guys are a game ahead of them. So you got the 1 seed. Philly's got the 2. Milwaukee's at the 3. They've been stuck at the 3 pretty much the whole season. So
yeah,
they're probably
they might come and pass. They might come and pass the Sixers if they're not careful.
Yeah, the Sixers, they got to play the Hawks again. Now. They blew out the Hawks, but after that, I think they got a couple of tough stretches. The Knicks are at a 4 seed. That is a home field advantage game if we can lock that in.
Someone said something today. I was watching ESPN, and they said it, and it was the funniest thing. No, I was watching the Yankees game, and they were talking about the Knicks, and they said it. They were like, you guys have to understand, Tom Thibodeau took the woeful Minnesota Timberwolves to the playoffs. That didn't make the playoffs since KG in like 2006. Took them to the playoffs, and they probably won't make the playoffs again for the next 5 years. So you have to understand how good of a coach Tibbs is. So just off of that, y'all were going to win 10 more games than you should have. And then you have Julius Randle balling out. You have Derrick Rose that you traded for. You have Emmanuel Quickly, who came out of nowhere as a rookie. Y'all should be
RJ Barrett,
maybe not 4.
Reggie Bullock,
but y'all should be in the playoffs.
Elfrid Payton actually showing up for a couple of these last couple games.
Y'all are balling, bro.
Scoring, but he's playing good. And I think the overall mindset with Tibbs is that, one, I'm going to get this out the way. There's 2 things I'm going to get out the way. Tibbs is my coach of the year. And
do you think so?
I think so because this year's Knicks were a rebuild team. Julius Randle.
You think he deserves it more than the Jazz coach?
Now, who's that?
What's his name?
I literally just saw Snyder, Quinn Snyder.
Yeah, Quinn Snyder. You think y'all deserve more than him? I would even say Steve Nash is in that competition because he's never had a full team.
He still hasn't had the full. Listen, there's a lot of good coach, and I think the Suns coach Monty Williams, right?
Yeah, but that's Monty Williams.
All right,
you got Chris Paul. Chris Paul is the reason why they're in the playoffs.
Chris Paul is the reason why they're in the playoffs.
He was coach last year.
Well, arguably, you can even say that the mix between Kyrie, KD, and Harden, whatever point they came into play this season, has helped the Nets.
Was never. KD's played like 20 games total.
Well, when he's come in and played with Kyrie, or when early in the season he came in when Harden got traded, and then Harden went out, and then KD went out, and then Kyrie went out, and one came back in. It's like a whack-a-mole situation you got there with the guys.
Don't get me wrong. I have 0%. I give Steve Nash a 0% chance of actually winning the award. I think it is going to be Thibodeau or Quinn Snyder. But what I will say is, don't just throw him to the side and say Tibbs 100% because they love to give that number Tibbs, 1 overall seed. They love giving the number 1 seed the coach of the year.
Thing. I mean, Budenholzer had gotten it the last couple of years, right?
Yeah, the last 2 years, I think.
Yeah. So It'll be an easy one to pick just from that. But I'm saying if you look at the overall
Yeah,
team
he's done the
itself
best
from
job.
the Knicks, he has outcoached almost every team in the East, I'd say. Maybe lower than the 2 seed. I think he's been a better coach than Budenholzer has, only because Budenholzer has Giannis, who is on a different level of
Yeah,
nice right
he's a
now.
freak of nature.
Plus, like him, it was a Drew Holiday. Middleton's been all right, but between the three of them,
Reality
they've been
just
holding that.
dunked on Bismack Biyombo, who's everyone's
That man gets dunked on every week.
baptism. He gets baptized,
baptized
like,
every
weekly. And he dunked on him
Um,
lefty, and that's the most disrespectful part because he jumped off his
no,
left foot to
the
go up righty and just.
offhand.
I said, "Ooh." Oh man, good. Man, I feel bad for him, yo.
That's just my one lock. The other thing I want to point out with the Knicks is that other than the Nets, they have the most underrated bench in the league.
No,
Because
you
that
guys
bench
have
comes off.
the most underrated bench. The Nets bench is not underrated at
I'd
all.
say I'd
People
say
know what they're
only
coming with.
because the Nets bench is full of guys who you either had that were like just guys on the bench, literally just guys on the bench, or you traded for them and hope that they would mesh together. And they're literally lighting up teams. And you're the 1 seed. Like
Yeah, but
I can't not
y'all have
deny
no
that your bench is
names that are
literally.
balling.
I mean, Derrick Rose is the one name that's coming off our bench,
Yeah.
and he's balling. But the majority of our bench as a whole, I'd say I'd still give the Nets their credit because their bench has been lights out. But the Knicks bench has been very underrated this entire season. You say
Yeah,
the
I
most
agree,
underrated?
100%.
I'd say the most underrated, even so with that. Just
Yeah.
because, yeah, the Nets bench has been pretty notable.
Yeah, you got
But
Shamit. Everybody knows Shamit. He played for the Clippers. He played for the Sixers. Like, people know Shamit. You have technically Joe Harris. He's a tweener. Bruce Brown. Like people know these guys. Like,
mhm.
y'all have Reggie Bullock, Derrick Rose, and Alec Burks. And the rest of your
Just
bench
came
is a bunch
back.
of people that no one's ever heard of. So
Quickly's the rook. Toppin's the rook. Ntilikina hasn't played enough. Yeah, it's full of guys who like we remembered from the Knicks either last season or like new guys that they got this year, and we're like studs
exactly.
coming off the bench now.
Yep.
So to finish off the rest of the playoff standings, we got the Knicks at the 4, Atlanta at the 5, Boston at the 6.
They might fall to the 9 way they're playing.
They've been kind of streaky lately. I gotta admit though, that's a team to watch out for because now with Brown, Smart, Kemba's hurt, and Tatum healthy, might be a team
No,
to be looking out for.
no.
They still
The
don't have a
way
big. They still don't have a center.
your synopsis, I'll say, or analysis, that's a better word, of their season a couple weeks ago was accurate. I didn't want to give you the benefit of the doubt.
Streaky.
Because I still think that Jason Tatum, and Jaylen Brown are studs, and you guys don't have anybody that can really stop them. You can slow them down, but you can't stop them.
Our conversation from a little while back was that if they played first round of the playoffs, and I think it would be a tough series. I still think the Knicks would pull through.
I think the Knicks will win that series now because the rest of the Celtics are horrible. They've all been bad.
Yeah. Smart
Jaylen Brown was upset the other day. He dropped like 40 and they lost.
Kemba's hurt. Yeah.
They lost to OKC, who dropped 14 straight. And Jaylen Brown's like, bro, I dropped like 35 and we still lost. He was cursing in the post game. They had to bleep it on ESPN. He's like, bro, we got to do better.
The Celtics are a disappointment this season. I'll definitely give them that because they were projected to be a top 3 seed, I think. But it was only a matter of time. I think they got hurt early on. They couldn't pick up the pace. They have no type of big help. It's a team that probably could have, used one of those bigs at the deadline, a Drummond.
But they traded away their only big.
They had
Dice. They traded Dice to the Bulls.
And
they pick up Mo Wagner, who's bigger, but like he's taller, but he's not a bigger body. Mo Wagner is a spot up shooter.
Dice was okay on the Celtics, and now he's atrocious on the Bulls.
Yeah, because now he barely gets playing time because you have Vucevic, who's one of the best top 5, top 10 centers in the league.
Lauri Markkanen was torching the Knicks the other day. They had RJ guarding him for some reason for a good 5 minutes. I was trying to figure out what's going on. What's going on? So yeah, that's Heat at 7, Hornets at 8, Pacers at 9, Wizards at 10, and that would be the play-in from Heat to Wizards. Heat Hornets would be the 7-8, Pacers Wizards would be for the 8 of that loser of 7 and 8.
Yeah, Pacers are gonna win that game. I think. Pick is in. Pick is in. Let's hear it.
Yeah, I just saw it. Pick is
Let's
in.
hear it.
I do like the Wizards. I'm not even gonna lie. The Wizards are playing hot right now, and that's because Russell Westbrook has found his stride in the second half of the season.
They picked Trevor Lawrence, by the way. Trevor Lawrence. I had to make sure.
6'6", 213 from Clemson. The first pick is in the NFL draft 2021. Trevor Lawrence, the guy who Louis Riddick was worried about him because he wanted to spend time with his family and not focus mainly on football. Like, what do you think that's every football player's first priority, is that they gotta focus on football before their own health? That's like none of these football players are playing more than like 8-9 seasons now, unless you're a quarterback,
Exactly.
our quarterback. But most of these guys don't want to give up their life for a job that they could pick up a check.
He's really about
make
to
money
go
off
everybody.
of a top season. Oh,
good
man.
guy. Good guy. I like him.
I hope he's vaccinated.
He's with his family at his house. He's not at the draft.
Yeah, most of them are at home. I don't think a lot of them even came to the draft. I think it's mostly just guys. Go up. I'm gonna run through the
MLB.
West real quick.
West.
We got Utah at the 1, Phoenix at the 2, and Utah and Phoenix are the only 2 clinched right now. We expect the Clippers and the Nuggets to clinch soon, like in the next week or so. That's the 3 and the 4. I mean, the Nuggets are making some strides. I don't think they'll pass the Clippers. They're a game behind, actually. That's very close. The Lakers is the second
Kawhi
half
still
of
up?
that West.
I think that's probably what it is, because Kawhi. Last game I watched, Kawhi didn't play.
That's the only. Yeah, they've lost the last 2 too, I think.
Yeah, they lost to the Suns though, so it makes sense because without Kawhi, you're not beating the Suns.
And the Pels. Leonard's still out. Bev's day-to-day. Ibaka's out as well. So they're playing Zubac full time. He's not a bad center. He's just
he's a stud. He's just not elite.
Yeah. Bottom half, I was saying of that West is the Lakers. At the 5, they're 9 games out though. The first or out of the next seed. Otherwise, I mean, hold on, who's below that? I'm sorry, I'm reloading that page. Dallas is the 6. Then the play-in for the West would be Blazers, Grizzlies, 7-8, Spurs, Warriors, 9-10, and then the loser would play the winner of that 9-10. Winner would get the 7. Winner of that last game would get the 8. Out of that play-in, the Warriors looked so good, and it was mostly because of Curry. And now the last couple of games they've dropped because
they've been getting
Curry
washed.
went cold. Yeah, they lost by, was that the Warriors? No, it was
they lost to the Mavs by some crazy. They went on a 28-0 run. It was bad. Imagine a 28-0 run. That was the longest in 10 years.
And Curry, if he can't stay hot in the playoffs, that team is done for. Play-in or first round.
Is Clay not walking through the door?
Clay's not. No, that's established. And Draymond is not going to hold that team down. For the fullest.
Wiseman not walking through the door, so it's they lost 2. They're down 2 studs.
It's going to be.
But at least they're in the playoff competition. They're in the playoff conversation. I would say so. That's enough
conversation. Jets are open. Yeah, Jets are on the round 2. We are doing the live draft first round of the first couple of picks as well. Shane, you got to explain to me, who is Mike James? Just real quick.
Who
is that?
James. To be honest, before 2 days ago, I had no clue. I'm
last I heard, he was selling halal cart out the bodega right outside Barclays. Last I heard, I swear I saw him there the other day.
They signed him out of Europe, and rightfully so, because Chris Giles is hurt. Tyler Johnson was hurt.
Guard.
So you needed a guard. Kyrie plays when he feels like. James Harden's out, so you needed a guard. So they signed him out of Europe, and it's I had no clue. He's running around. I'm like, that's not Chris Chiozza, but the same skin complexion, but this guy's tatted crazy. So I'm like, okay, who is this guy? And they're like, Mike James, and I'm like, okay. Then he took early in the shot clock. Fade away to his shooting hand. So he didn't fade to his left hand. He faded to his right hand and put up a fade away on the baseline. And I'm like, why would he shoot that? Even the announcers were like, ill-advised. Oh, it went in, and I'm like,
Ill-advised.
and I'm like,
You know
that
it's
shot
bad.
made literally no sense when it went in, and everybody's like,
Oh
oh, he
man.
can shoot those. That's what he did in Europe. Yeah, but this NBA, but he made it. So I was like, all right, do your thing, my guy. And he's been balling
You
out.
know
I
he
think he
had to
had like,
flex. Yeah.
of course, he had a couple of, he
Yeah.
had like 5, 6 assists. He closed the game out for the Nets, and I was shocked. It was him and Kyrie at the end of the game, and I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? So yeah, that's Mike James, number 55. You already know. Anybody who wears number 55 in New York is a stud. You know, Hideki Matsui. So he's a stud. That's all I can add.
MVP right there. Shane, let's shift towards baseball. I got a note just from the last couple of weeks that I watched them play. The Dodgers Padres series, both of them have been nuts and have been keeping me locked. Oh yeah, you like that Twitter feud? I like that because Bauer's like, he's the cool
wasn't
guy.
even a
He's gonna be the
feud.
bigger man. It wasn't a feud. But it was like,
He was
Bauer
all
responds
for it.
to
He's like,
everybody.
please. He said,
Yeah, I know.
please do
He
that.
said,
I love it.
yeah. If you throw a bad pitch, they should celebrate. Batters
Exactly.
should celebrate. You shouldn't retaliate. Pitch better.
Eric Hosmer did the sword celebration that Trevor Bauer does, and he laughed.
Yeah.
Like Trevor Bauer laughed. He was like, "Oh my god, that was amazing."
And
I couldn't
Machado
help
hit
it.
that second home run, and he does the McGregor walk
Yeah.
after that too. Yeah. Honestly, like the level of competition there is very reminiscent for me of like Yankees, Red Sox, early 2000s. I just want to see him fight. That would be the last piece in the puzzle to be like, yeah,
It's gonna happen.
there's that feeling. It's
Trevor Bauer is gonna hit somebody by accident, and they're gonna go crazy.
You give it to like it's gonna be 80 degrees, 90 degrees in LA or in San Diego. It's gonna be hot. 7th inning, a team's blowing the other one out just because I had a bad day. Reliever's gonna come in, drill somebody in the ribs, and that's how you know it's already. It already almost
probably
happened.
Joe Kelly.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's gonna give the tongue out to Jerks and Profar. Jerks and Profar's gonna throw his bat like a spear at him. Gonna go crazy off of that.
Oh man.
Yeah, honestly, baseball has been fun to watch. I think overall, we kind of talked about that in the last episode with the Yankee stuff. Did you see Rizzo pitch?
I know.
Today he strikes out Frederick.
He's Frederick. Frederick, come here, Frederick.
Tom, baseball needs to mic these guys up, but they got to do it in
every
a cleaner
game
way. Because every time you see the mics on some of the guys, they like wired up from top to bottom, and you're like, I could buy an Amazon mic that just clips right here, and got like radio signals or Bluetooths. The pitches
Zach Wilson to the Jets.
Yep, that was their
pick.
Zach Wilson. I mean, they projected him only because this new coach I think was already ready for like a new transition from Darnold, and this guy looked good. That was
basically
the other
another Darnold though. That's the thing. Darnold's a stud, bro. I don't know why they had to get him out of New York, but Darnold's a stud.
Carolina's gonna be good next year. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy.
Oh yeah, let's finish. Yeah.
Yeah. So Rizzo strikes out
Anthony Rizzo
on a
Pedro Martinez from the left side.
Blur. The way that pitch moved. They said he pitched in high school the last time he did that, and he wasn't actually too bad. And I was like, you know what? I bet you like most of these position players anyway, they have like pitching experience. Whenever there's a blowout, I think a team should be rewarded. They should get like a $250,000 bonus for having a position player pitch.
Just have a they're all gonna fight to pitch.
Yeah. But it'll be good. It's fun for the game.
That was fun.
Even in a blowout. And, you get a guy, Freddie Freeman, who went 4 for 4 that night and strikes out.
You saw Anthony Rizzo after he struck him out? He was like he just won the World Series.
Like 9th inning, strike out the side.
He looked like he just won the World Series. He was like
Freddie was laughing from that point on to the postgame.
Yeah. Oh man.
Shane, last thing, let's look at the AL NL standings, or at least just the top teams in the AL and NL.
Red Sox, A's.
Red Sox in the East, A's in the West. I think in the Central it's the Royals for the AL. In the National League, you got the Braves up top, but they're 500. The Phillies are a half game behind them. Brewers are on top.
Half game behind them too.
Yeah, Mets are also a half game behind them. They just haven't played enough games. They got delayed with that Washington's beginning. In the Central, you got the Brewers up top. They've been pretty good as of late, but I thought Cincinnati had that like a couple weeks ago. They were like clearly a good team, and it's the Central. It's not there yet anyway. But the Dodgers and Padres are tied. Oh, Dodgers and Giants are tied
Yeah. Giants are
for the
going
West.
crazy. Newly acquired Mike Talkman going 3 for 4 in his
3 for 4.
debut. Like
He's gonna win NL
MVP.
MVP. No way! Could you imagine?
I'm like, oh man, I would hate it.
No.
But I'm telling you,
Well,
the Giants are looking good. They're not gonna keep it up, but they look good.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. That's just your weekly updates. This is from April 16th through April 29th, just the last couple of weeks
Yeah.
that we've witnessed some of the sports news. A lot of good stuff has been happening. Again, the NFL is in the middle of their draft. You've probably heard us discussing the first 2 picks. That 3rd pick from the 49ers is in. It doesn't look like they've traded it. And it doesn't look like Jimmy Garoppolo has sounded off anywhere else. So sticking with Jimmy. They already said George Kittle was their guy. And Kittle said that Garoppolo was their guy. So, players are sounding off. Owners, GM are saying otherwise. A bit of a clash.
Because when he plays, he's good. He just can't. He's another Giancarlo.
Yeah. Oh, that's the other thing.
Good on the field. He's never there.
Not really strong arm either. He throws for like 100 yards a game. If there's one NFL news that we have to cover, it's Aaron Rodgers. What happened?
He said, I'm out of here. I'm tired
in the last week or so.
Y'all don't respect me. I'm the MVP. Respect me.
Did he get mad because that Jeopardy contestant wrote what happened on that field goal kick? Like,
I know.
He's still, he's salty about it. He just rubbed salt in that wound. I don't know, man. That Aaron Rodgers stuff might turn ugly because we already seen what happened with Deshaun Watson, and that's just on another level of ugly right now. But this is your former MVP. No MVP has ever left their team right after winning.
After year.
I think the only guy to do it had retired, and that was in like the 1960s. I think that was Norm Van Brocklin. Again, 1960s. He retired the year after. He had already played like 18 seasons. Can't do that after that. That's got to be the one NFL news we got to cover. Otherwise, it's draft time. We're tuned into that. We will come back next week with more weekly updates. Keep tuning in.
Oh, yeah.
They're on those 6 platforms, YouTube, all of them. If you want to know
Apple,
what the list is,
Podbean, iHeart, Pandora.
Follow us on Twitter. I haven't been saying that lately.
Yeah, please. We still got like 20 followers.
It's down there.
We got more people listening to the episodes than following us on Twitter. That makes no sense. Follow us on Twitter.
And plus, we want to know what you guys think of the episodes, not only in the comments, but on Twitter. Make us have some feedback for you. Like we want to tell you guys, like, you're wrong. The way we think is correct. You want to be those podcast guys, right? Like, stir the pot a little bit. But yeah, we'll keep posting with you guys, keeping you guys updated every week. Next week we'll have another one for you guys. This has been the D-Rod and Shaniac Sports Podcast, episode 15, part 2, weekly updates. You gotta run through that again? No way.
Weekly updates. Weekly. All right, we out.